Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel Colorado MMA. Today I want to introduce you to the brand new Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi. I've already shown you the Duo 3 PoE, which is the version with network connectivity. I installed this IP camera a few months ago. Today I just want to take a look at the differences between the Wi-Fi version and the PoE version. Is it worth switching? Can you maybe do without laying network cables? Are the antennas sufficient? If you're interested in that, definitely stick around, because that's what this video is all about. Welcome back to my loyal viewers, and to all of you who are here for the first time today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this topic, because there will be many more videos to come. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a like. Today I want to introduce you to the Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi. This camera comes in a compact package. You get the camera and the mounting bracket included. There's a power cable and a 4-meter extension cable is also included. So when the camera arrives at your home, you can get started right away. I think that's a really nice touch. There were times when you had to buy things like the power cable separately. So why Wi-Fi now? What's the difference compared to the PoE camera? That's the interesting question I want to explore in this video. First, I'd like to start with the specifications that both cameras have in common. Both cameras offer almost identical technical specifications. Ultimately, they only differ in the type of power supply and data transmission. I'll show you now how you can make the right choice and what might be relevant for you. Basically, both cameras have a 16 megapixel UHD resolution. They can display 7680 × 2160 pixels, all at 20 frames per second. Of course, that provides razor-sharp images both during the day and at night. The camera features a dual lens system, which you can see here at the front. There are two lenses that create a 180-degree panoramic image. At night, you have color night vision, either through the spotlights that illuminate the surroundings or through the infrared LEDs that light up the area with infrared light. And then you get a black and white night view, which is supposed to work up to 30 meters. At my driveway, this works very well with the PoE camera version. If you're filming into the distance though, the performance does fall a bit short. Both cameras use the H.265 codec for storage, which means significantly less storage space is required. And you have two-way audio communication. The camera has a microphone and a speaker, so you can talk directly to people in front of the camera. The intelligent motion detection, these smart features like vehicle detection, person, animal detection, and so on are of course also built in. I think that's a great feature. You can talk to the mail carrier remotely, or to your children, monitor things, or take action if there are any unwanted guests on your property. What I personally really like is the integration into smart home systems. Whether it's Google Assistant or, like in my case, Home Assistant, you can access the entities through the system. You can create routines. If the camera detects a person, you can set it up so that, for example, a light turns on or a bell rings. So by now there are options available that make the whole thing really, really exciting. When I have the camera sitting here like this, I can't help but think of little Wall-E. Do you know him? Just let me know in the comments if you see it the same way. Wall-E, the last one cleaning up the earth. This little robot that sucks up trash into its belly. I see a certain resemblance to this little robot. But alright, that's enough about the similarities. The camera also has some differences compared to the Duo 3 PoE. That's the version where both power and data are supplied solely through the network cable. I can already reveal this much. PoE does not work with this camera. You have no way to power this camera directly via the network cable. So the network port is there. That means you can definitely connect the camera to a network cable. This gives you a stable connection to your network to retrieve the data, but you simply can't transmit power. Power is supplied through the second port, which is also located on this cable. That's where you can connect the power plug. Just plug the cable into the port. If the cable is too short, you also have an extension. It should be about 4 meters long. This way, the plug can be placed somewhere protected. When it comes to installation, your imagination is the only limit. But you always have to keep in mind that such a plug, especially outdoors, is always a danger zone. On the one hand, because of moisture, and of course also due to vandalism. If the power goes out, even the best camera won't do you any good. What other differences are there? Quite clearly, data transmission. If you use the cable, the transmission is identical. But if you haven't laid a network cable, but you can install the camera in such a way that you have a power connection and are also within range of a repeater, a router, in other words, a wireless receiver, then you can connect this camera to the Wi-Fi using the two antennas. And that's where the two cameras differ significantly. Because with Wi-Fi 6, something truly modern has already been built in here. You have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz supported in the frequency band. Alternatively, of course, there's the cable, as I already mentioned, but how do you actually access the data? Well, those of you who have been following me for a while or already using Reolink cameras know you have several options for accessing the camera, retrieving live images and recordings. You can either do this with your smartphone by installing the Reolink app and adding the camera. I'll show you how that works in a moment. Or you can do it on your computer, as you can see behind me now, by accessing it through the client. Of course, you also have the option to use a browser. You can do everything locally at home. That means you can only access it within your own Wi-Fi or through a computer that's connected to the network via cable. But of course, it's also possible to access it remotely using mobile data or through a computer that's connected via mobile data or logged into a different Wi-Fi network. There are a few settings you need to adjust on the camera to enable this. You should be aware, if you allow the camera to access the internet, appropriate security measures should be taken. If you have any questions, tips, or suggestions about this, please write them in the comment section. While you're under the video, take a look at the video description. There you'll find lots of additional information. Specifications, links, and similar information about the camera. You'll also find the Reolink promo link there. Reolink regularly provides me with these cameras so that I can introduce them to you and test them. At the end, I regularly hold a giveaway where you can win the cameras. So subscribing is definitely worth it. And if you want to know where can I get this thing, where can I buy it, how much does such a camera cost, check below the video and use the Reolink promo link. There are great discounts for you and a small commission for me and my channel to help fund my projects. I'll say thank you in advance and hope that by now you'll at least give me a like. To set up the camera on your phone in the app, you absolutely have to connect it to the Wi-Fi first using the client or a browser. A direct integration into the app via Wi-Fi is not possible. So I powered up the camera and then connected it to my switch with a network cable. The client, which you can see behind me on the screen, automatically detected the camera. I was able to set a password directly in the client and enter the Wi-Fi credentials. The available Wi-Fi networks are automatically displayed to you. You just enter the password there and the camera will connect to the Wi-Fi and save the credentials. As soon as you unplug the network cable, the camera automatically switches to Wi-Fi. Here's a quick tip for anyone using an NVR. If you connect the camera via LAN cable and start the client, you'll see that the camera is automatically detected. However, you can't enter a password there. Any password you choose will always be rejected as incorrect. The reason is quite simple. As soon as you use an NVR in the network, every camera that can be registered with the NVR, both the Reolink Duo3 WLAN and the Reolink Duo3 PoE are compatible with the NVR, is automatically registered with the NVR. So you need the initial password that the NVR assigned. I went down to my basement to the NVR and saw on the screen that a new camera had been detected. I opened the cameras menu and changed the initial password. With this new password, I was then able to register the camera on the client. I set up the camera on the client twice, once via the network video recorder. Here the recordings are saved on the hard drive. The other registration displays the data from the SD card. And now, of course, I want this camera to be available on my phone as well. The great thing is the camera is already automatically available because I integrated it via the NVR. The NVR, along with the cameras registered there, is already displayed to me in the app, but I also want to have the camera separately a second time here. To do this, I proceed as follows. I started the app and clicked on the plus symbol at the top right. Now I'm supposed to photograph the QR code which is located on the camera. You have to wiggle it back and forth a bit, then it works pretty quickly. And now another special feature comes into play for me. I also use the Reolink Home Hub. The app asks me whether I want to register the camera with the Home Hub or have it run as a standalone device. If you register the camera with the Home Hub, there's a risk that the camera will switch to the Home Hub's Wi-Fi. The reception is then limited to the range of the Home Hub's Wi-Fi signal. That's why I personally always prefer the standalone option, because it allows me to use my home Wi-Fi. With my repeaters and extenders, I can extend and adjust the signal. That's why I go with the standalone option. Now I have to enter the camera's password, which I just set up. I'll cover the screen for a moment while I do that. I'm online. You can now see my video setup. The camera is running. This is the live feed. Perfect. Now that the camera is installed on my smartphone, I can make all the settings directly on my phone. But I use the client. I prefer it because I have a bigger screen there. I'll now show you on the client what settings are available and which basic adjustments I always make. I'll also show you which fine-tuning you might still want to do. After that, we'll head out to my test area. That's where I'll install the camera. With the app's live view, I can aim it directly at the area I want to monitor. I'm curious to see which animals will pass in front of the lens here over the next few days. Now I want to show you the most important settings that I adjusted right after installing the camera. You can see it in the bottom left. The Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi is integrated into my client. I have a relatively weak Wi-Fi signal. By clicking on the gear icon, I access the camera's settings. All the settings I'm showing here can of course also be adjusted in the app. In the display menu, I only turned off the watermark and set the anti-flicker to 50 Hz. This corresponds to the European power grid. If you are in the USA or other countries, you would need to adjust this setting accordingly. Day and night switching should happen automatically. And I also want to set up the privacy mask right away. A small window opens for this. I can enlarge the window to full screen mode. Since I'm recording the screen, unfortunately I can't do that right now. The recording wouldn't be displayed. Here you can draw and move small rectangles to create areas that absolutely must not be recorded. The neighbor's house is now gone. The rest in the image belongs to me. That can stay as it is. You can create up to 4 rectangles. After saving, you can already see in the live view that everything's blacked out. I can't see it, I can't record it. Back to the menu. In the advanced settings, you can also adjust the colors and brightness. Relatively important for this camera with the 2 lenses is the so-called stitching. Here in the middle is the transition from the first lens to the second lens. It looks very, very good for me. If you have a misalignment here and the 2 images don't match up exactly, you can realign the lenses at any time using the horizontal or vertical adjustment. I had to do this with my Reolink Duo 3 PoE version. The viewing angle was relatively narrow there, but here, in my opinion, it fits very, very well. In the stream, I haven't changed anything in the clear or smooth settings. At the high resolution, I get the full 16 megapixels with 7680 x 2160 pixels. You can use the smooth resolution, for example, on your smartphone when using mobile data. The resolution is significantly lower there, but you can still see very clearly what's happening in the image. However, the amount of data used for transmission is much lower. Personally, I prefer to set the frame rate mode to constant. By default, it's set to automatic. In constant mode, more data is used, resulting in higher quality. This means that fast movements are much easier to recognize. Back to the menu for motion detection. I'm going to leave out the marking of detected movements for now. The sensitivity is set to 80% by default. I'll leave it like that. This setting is for general movements in the image. This also includes things like moving trees, as well as snow, rain, and similar movement patterns. Much more interesting is the intelligent detection. When the system detects a person, a vehicle, or an animal, that's when the alarm should go off. Here, I set the sensitivity to the maximum. I don't think a vehicle will drive across my lawn, but you never know. I'll leave the alarm delay as it is. I want to be notified immediately if there's an alarm. With the object size setting, you can specify how large an object has to be for the alarm to be triggered. By now, you can even set this separately for people, vehicles, and animals. This is relevant, for example, if I only want to trigger alarms for things happening back here. In that case, the person in the image has to be relatively small. That's very far away from the camera. The non-detection zone is another feature offered by Reolink cameras. Unlike the privacy mask, with the non-detection zone, I can mark areas that shouldn't trigger motion alarms. This means that in the area I have marked, a person or a cat can move around, but no alarm would be triggered. I leave it as it is. I want the entire area to continue being considered for alarm detection. There's not much to consider when it comes to lighting. The infrared lights and the LED spotlight turn on automatically when needed. I increase the brightness to 100% and use the smart mode for nighttime. When a person, vehicle or animal is detected, the light also turns on automatically. The audio function is always deactivated by default. I don't know why. Of course, I want to record the sound. I want to be able to hear what I'm seeing in my recordings. The volume is a matter of personal preference. The cameras have a speaker that is quite audible. However, it's not a 120 dB stadium speaker. You have to accept that. While you can communicate very well with it, a real alarm siren is significantly louder. I leave the noise suppression at the factory default setting. You can try this out for yourselves. If you live on a busy street, you can adjust the noise level accordingly. There are more settings in the surveillance section. I want the oldest files to always be overwritten. This setting only applies to the recordings on the camera's SD card. In addition to recording on the camera, I also have recording on the network video recorder. There are separate settings for that, and I can use them independently of each other. I have enabled pre-recording. With motion detection, not only is the recording from the moment motion is detected saved and accessible, but also a short period before that is continuously recorded. I set the post-recording time to 30 seconds. If motion is detected and the motion continues, an additional 30 seconds are automatically recorded and saved from the moment the motion is no longer detected. Only then does the recording end, and the system returns to standby monitoring mode. In the schedule, I specify whether I want to use only alarm recordings or only timer recordings, meaning a set schedule for the recordings. But I can also use the timer recordings, which in this case would be 24/7 continuous recording, and additionally activate the alarm recordings. This way I have 24 hours per day available during playback. However, I can specifically filter by motion from people, vehicles and animals. I always recommend activating the alarm recording. I don't use the timer, it just fills up my storage unnecessarily. I am completely satisfied with the alarm recording. I'll skip the additional settings for now. There you can set up sending to an email address. You can link an FTP server. There is also a setting to activate the siren. When motion is detected, the loud siren in the camera goes off. I'll leave that out. With every false alarm, you make a lot of friends in the neighborhood. The push function isn't necessarily relevant for the PC. However, this function can be important for smartphones. You can activate a push function when an alarm is triggered and set the interval pause from 20 seconds to 2 minutes. When motion is detected, you immediately receive a push notification on your smartphone. Only 20 seconds later would a new message be sent again. Here too, a schedule can be set. I've often been asked how to customize the notifications. For example, I don't need them when I'm at home, but when I'm out and about, I want to receive a push notification. If you have a regular daily routine, you can use the schedule to automatically control the push notifications. In the network menu, there are still settings that need to be made so the camera can access the internet. My camera is connected to my network exclusively via Wi-Fi. I haven't connected any cables. Otherwise, you would see a second tile here for the network LAN connection. The network information is purely for informational purposes. In the advanced settings, you can specify whether the camera should automatically open the ports on the router to access the internet. This way you can use your smartphone and mobile data to access live footage and recordings from anywhere in the world. For this, I activate the UPnP function, which opens the necessary ports on my router. I confirm the security prompt. The pop-up informs you about the potential risks. You should know which ports are being used. If you open them, theoretically someone from outside could also gain access to your network. That's why there are additional data and settings in the server configuration. Here you can view, adjust and manually enable the individual ports. I recommend that you do not enable unsecured ports. Only use the secured ports. Enable HTTPS, RTSP and also the OnWIF function. With the OnWIF function, you can access the data using third-party software. OnWIF is a universal protocol for using the video and audio recordings from surveillance cameras. I save my adjustments and am already done with the basic setting. If you want to know more about setting up the camera and its other features, take a look at the top right corner. There I'll link you to a video in which I go much deeper into the individual functions of the Reolink cameras. And at this point, I'd like to come to my conclusion. The Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi has definitely convinced me. In terms of resolution and features, the camera doesn't really differ from its PoE sister, which has already been on the market for some time. 180 degrees field of view horizontally and 55 degrees vertically. That could be a little bit more. You can see it in the height of the image. There's a bit more possible there, but it's sufficient. And for me, it was enough. Basically, the question now is, which version is suitable for whom? Well, it's quite clear if the two models don't differ much, then the PoE version is worthwhile for anyone who has the option to run a network cable with PoE power supply to the camera. If you have this option, then use the PoE version. That's my recommendation. I think it's better. It protects against vandalism and ensures a reliable power supply and stable network connection. There's no risk that the Wi-Fi signal will be intentionally or unintentionally disrupted. If you can't run a network cable but have a power supply on site, then the Wi-Fi version is a very, very good choice. You only need to plug in the power adapter. The plug is a bit bulky. However, it can be placed and hidden somewhere using the extension cable, where weather or vandalism won't be an issue. But if you have neither a power cable nor a network cable, then take a look at the Reolink battery-powered cameras. In combination with the solar panel, for example, the Argus 4 Pro or the Altas PT Ultra with PTZ control would be a very good alternative. I've already tested both cameras. You can find the links to those videos in the top right corner, but you'll find even more in the description below the video. There you'll find Reolink's promo link, because this camera is heavily promoted by Reolink. There are great benefits and promotions for you, and there's an amazing price. If you're interested in the Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi and PoE, check out the video description below. Click the promo link there, you can find more details about the cameras there. Of course, you can also buy the cameras there. By the way, you'll also find links there to the other products I've already tested and am satisfied with. The NVR, the Home Hub, or even the technology for PoE power supply. I've linked all these devices for you there. And now it's your turn. Leave me a comment under the video. What do you think of my video? What do you think of the cameras? Where do you see the most significant differences between these two models? In the features or maybe in the application? I'm looking forward to your feedback and am happy to exchange ideas with you. And while you're down there, give me a like. Subscribe to my channel for the next video. That's it for me for today. Take care. See you next time. Bye.